Stephen, tell me what it was like to buy a home as a millennial, your first home.
The first home. Well, it was quite the experience because it happened during the pandemic. It happened when I had just had my first child. I had a nearly 1-year-old son. And prior to that, I had rented spots all over Los Angeles. Working in the film business, I found myself bumping from place to place. And I think for me, starting out and working with you, I had an interesting financial situation because I was often paid either through invoice or W-2, and I would make money on a job per job basis, whereas a lot of other home buyers, they have a job, they have a salary, it's all W-2, it's very easy. So when we started working with you, you gave me this kind of hope that you could give me this unconventional loan based on a lot of my bank statements through my business and my other personal statements. And that was something other mortgage professionals couldn't do or didn't even offer. So having that start was very helpful and encouraging for me. It gave me a lot of, positive thinking that we could actually do this and get it done.
So it made a difference. So just getting that understanding that it was a possibility, did that create more of a drive? Did that create a little bit more hope to say, yeah, maybe I can do this. Maybe it might be worth looking into this.
Yeah, it definitely created that drive, and you and your company laid out a great plan. My credit wasn't where it should be. Building my own business from the ground up as a millennial, I definitely took risks and did whatever I could to build it, but in that process, my credit took a hit, and you helped me repair it and get it into a place where we were qualified.
Your credit did fantastic. The score just rocketed. You did so good on that.
Oh, thank you. Well, couldn't have done it without you and your team. In addition to that, looking at houses as a millennial in California, it started off super rough because our real estate agent, he wanted us to see houses as if they were cars, as if they were vehicles, and see the engines and see all the components. So he started us off in some of the lower quality homes. And I was quite mind blown to learn that I'd have to spend $500,000 on a house with no air conditioning. And that made me think maybe I should move out of California, because I don't want to put all this money into a place that has, decaying floors, cracks everywhere.
It's going to cost you a lot of money.
Cost me a lot of money to fix. But as we went on, our realtor is great. He started at the bottom. He's like, I'm going to show you the worst first. So then as we build up, it was like a masterclass on buying a house. And that's something you talk about in your book as well, as having this gold standard real estate agent. So you can really learn the process. When it came time to find a house that we like and put an offer in, there were 12 plus offers. So that was also discouraging. I got to a point where I felt like this ain't gonna happen. I got to go up against 12 people who have cash offers. And, so it was that give and take. The interest rates were low, what I would refer to as like the pandemic special. They were ridiculously low, but we were up against 10, 12 people on a decent house. So when we actually found a house, my wife found one on Zillow, and you would think, oh, just you found it on Zillow, go buy it through Zillow. But what I learned, it doesn't work that way. You have to have this trifecta of the buyer, the mortgage professional, and the real estate agent. And the list was sent to a real estate agent, the house was sent to you, and you guys went to work. It was the one we wanted. You guys had to get approved in a week, which was crazy. I can't believe you did that. I don't know how you did it.
Yeah, there were so many offers on it. The agent said, yeah, we'll accept the offer, but I want an approval in 1 week. That That was interesting.
Yeah, our real estate agent said it was like putting a noose around your neck.
Yeah.
So there was definitely a point where I was checking in all the time, but I just kind of, at that point, I was like, I'm just gonna hope. And if you hadn't known the listing agent, and if our real estate agent hadn't known the listing agent, and if you didn't have the ability to get approved in a week, we would have never gotten the house. And that's the thing, there's all these tech companies that are getting in, like, you know, Redfin or Zillow, they're saying, oh, get your house on here, it comes with a realtor. But it's like, is it going to come with a realtor that's been there for 30 years, that knows the listing agent?
Right.
And you having 30 plus years as well, knowing the listing agent? It's like, you need that slam dunk trifecta. It's a group effort, everyone's working together.
All right, so we started thinking that we might be getting your loan on a non-conventional basis, just as bank statements, because you're self-employed. And then we looked at it more and we thought, no, you know what, let's go conventional. Let's see what we can do to get you the very best rate possible. Took a lot more effort, had to grease the wheels a lot more. We had to talk to the underwriting manager. We had to take it up a couple steps in underwriters to make sure that we got the person who would look at it the correct way. And Brooklyn was able to get me the documentation that we needed, and we got it done. I was so happy that we got you the best possible pricing that you could get. And it just shows that if you really work at it, it can be done. And there are just so many people that come in. I mean, the first thing they do is when they call me and they say, we probably can't qualify. That's the first thing they say. And yet, within a half hour, a lot of them can qualify. And if they can't, we put together a strategy. And so going through that process with you is just fantastic.
No, thank you. Well, yeah, and now it's, I think for, at least for me as a millennial and some of the friends I have, it's kind of this overwhelming, daunting thing to do, you know? And again, going back to like, I'm so career driven that I put a lot of my priorities in my career and what that was doing. But the thing is like getting into a home will ultimately make you a calmer person. You won't be thinking about having to leave in X amount of years. You won't be paying like horrible rent, you know? In our area, rent costs more than our mortgage, which is crazy. And you're just throwing money away. So buying a house, you essentially have a savings account. You're putting that money into something.
Yeah.
It's not just getting burned.
So, Stephen, what was it like? What was it like when you got the keys to your home, when the agent came over and dropped the keys into your hand? What was that like?
When Perry came, who's an amazing agent, he gave us the keys. Getting into that house, I guess one would think it'd be like, hooray! But it was interesting because I've rented so many places. It just felt final. It felt like, wow. It felt surreal for me because me personally, I'm this career-driven person where for me, I'm so focused on project. But getting to this house with my son and my wife, walking through the rooms, realizing it was ours, it was honestly surreal. It didn't feel real at times. I had this feeling of like, wow, I can't believe this is ours, you know, and we worked really hard to save money. So we were able to get into the house with a savings. And there's an important note on that. During the pandemic, we lived with my mother-in-law for a year, saving up money so we could get a down payment and have a savings and not just be broke doing the month-to-month thing. And I think that's something that a lot of millennials should embrace. You know, times are tough right now and not everyone has a super cush job with a big salary. And I think most parents are willing to let you into their home to help you get to that.
Yeah, that was a good move. That was a great move.
Thanks.
So when we were going through the loan process, what was your anxiety level on it? I mean, what were your thoughts as we were working to get you approved?
Most of my anxiety came from, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to go back to square one and start looking at houses again. I was so burnt out on looking at houses. That was my anxiety level, but when it came to working with you and your company, barely any, because I knew you had it under control.
Yeah. And did you find that at first did you have some doubts, and then as we worked with you, you kind of felt like, okay, you know, I think it's going to work out okay. I mean, as it went along,
Mm-hmm.
what was it like for you?
Yeah, I definitely had doubts, I think, in myself in the beginning. Like, I didn't think I was financially ready. But then once you laid down the steps that needed to be, you know, taken, then that's when I was more and more confident.
Well, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the thing about it is that you and your wife and Brooklyn, you really made it. You're very engaged in the process,
Mm-hmm.
and you did really well because you gave us the documents that we needed, you know, and you hung with us. You know that we would get you through it,
Mm-hmm.
and so it was wonderful working with you. I mean,
Yeah.
your dream couple.
Oh, thank you, and
Yeah.
same to you. You know, I feel like it was honestly a miracle getting into the house, into Moore Park. We ended up in Moore Park, in a neighborhood that's full of young couples and kids, and we feel safe and secure. And I mean, just the other day, I was walking through our house. We had just cleaned it, and it was nice. It just feels wholesome, and it feels complete.
And I think what's so interesting about it is that you are now in a home where if you were renting, it'd be almost the same payment.
It'd be more.
It's crazy
we've looked it
because
up.
rents have actually gone up more, but you
Mhm.
bought it, so you were able to
Mm-hmm.
literally freeze the amount of money that you're paying.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what's really cool about your experience is that you are open-minded enough to say, you know, maybe I can make this happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is really a big key, is to you explored the concept, you explored the possibility of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what really created an environment so you could say, hey, you know what, maybe I can do this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And your philosophy, your book, your business, and your team made all of that possible.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Welcome to our mortgage family.